They're going to be dropping down to the low 40s to upper 30s. And your KSCO News Talk time currently 10:06 a.m. And with that, hour number one of the Saturday special begins right here on your favorite radio station.
Weren't you going to give the call letters of your favorite radio station?
Oh, I was going to save you to do that. Let you have the honors. You love call signing.
Josh Stevens, how are you today? Be honest.
I'm doing pretty dang good, MZ. How about you?
Why are you doing pretty dang good?
Because I had an excellent New Year's, and I'm ready to kick butt at our favorite radio station for 2020.
You know what? I was starting to think. I was going to ask you my personal question that I like to ask.
And what might that be?
Don't you think that it's a little presumptuous on our part to think that our listeners consider us their favorite radio station?
Yeah, it's possible, yeah. It makes me wonder why we have that jingle then. The one that's like, this is your favorite
Can you play
station.
it? Can you find it real quick and play it?
Yeah, I can.
Because it's one of my favorite jingles. Actually, you know, there's nothing... Okay, here we go.
This is your favorite radio station, KSCO, Santa Cruz, California, 1080 on your dial.
There it is.
The fact that we have that jingle should be reason enough for us to legitimately be everybody's favorite radio station, including the people who have never even heard of us. But
exactly.
once they listen, they'll get hooked. Guaranteed, right?
It's a gateway radio.
It's a gateway radio. No, wait a minute. Gateway, what's the opposite of gateway? The final? We should be the final frontier.
Final frontier.
Yeah, we shouldn't be a gateway radio station. We should be the final frontier because, you know, once there's no point in...
like the boss level at the end of a video game.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, that's it. Now, if you make it to us, there's no reason. You don't even bother to switch. Pretend there isn't even a dial to switch the channel because we're it.
Rip it right off on your radio dial. Just rip the dial right off.
You can remove the dial and throw it away because you're tuned into KSCO of the Monterey Bay. Who said that?
I have no idea, but that's a beautiful promo right there. We should take that from the recording and make a new one.
Do you remember that promo, Dave Michaels?
No, I don't, but that
it's
sounds
even
good.
Before your time.
Really?
Remember the voice,
Mm-hmm.
the voice.
Was it JJ?
Steve Hartman.
Steve Hartman, really?
Yeah.
Wow,
yeah.
He does have a great voice.
Oh, my God. Yeah,
he does.
You can remove the dial and throw it away because you're tuned to KSCO in the Monterey Bay.
It's good advice.
Yeah.
Good advice.
Do you have some good advice for us?
Sure, I do. MZ, I advise you to stop by the Dave Cave and pick up your KSCO and Flight 1080 gear or Flight 1080 gear because we have a little bit left, but if you want the size that you want, then I suggest that you get there today. Also, we have deals on your favorite longevity products, your Arthrodex, Glucogel. We're running really, really low on Tangy Tangerine and OsteoFX, but we're pretty good on everything else.
But I forgot, did we talk about whether it's illegal for you to use Arthrodex on other than your aminals?
No, but I don't know that would be a bad thing. You know, MZ, that the Arthrodex has everything that your pet needs, right? It has 87 of the 90 essential nutrients. The only thing you would have to add is the EFAs. So it's either the multi-EFAs, which are plant-based fatty acids,
so if
or
we run out
fish-based.
if we run out, you said we're low on BTT.
Mm-hmm.
If we run out of it today, do we have enough of a supply of Arthrodex that we can offer as a substitute until our BTT comes in?
Yeah, but they might start
humans.
They might start growing fur and drinking out of the toilet. I don't know. They might start growing, dog tendencies. I don't know.
Oh man!
Go fetch the newspaper with their teeth.
Well,
rip up their slippers.
It might not be bad. It might not. It'd sort of be fun.
I guess.
Would you like? You probably would. Would you like to have? Would you like to have a human in your house, in your household, that did that? What that's normally those honors are done by a doggy.
Sure, why not?
Why not? That's what I think.
It'd be interesting,
because
right?
they could talk too. Presumably, right?
Yeah. I never thought about that.
Yeah, and they'll unconditional love more than the two-legged version, which there's too many conditions.
Unfortunately,
on it,
that there's a lot to be said there too, MC. And people really love their pets. People really love their pets, and Arthrodex is a great way to make sure that your pet stays healthier for longer, lives a healthier, happier life. Because you don't want them to live a longer life if it's going to be miserable, right? You want them to be healthier and happier, spry, full of energy.
I don't know anybody. I've never met a person. That doesn't necessarily mean that there isn't some weird person out there.
No, there is.
Who wouldn't want anything? Who wouldn't want only the best for their pet?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Arthrodex is a great way to go, MZ. $35 for a canister, 1 scoop per 25 pounds. So if you have a cat, this thing's going to last you 3 months. I mean, it's just super economical. You got to try it. Arthrodex. We've got it out there. I'll be out there till 2. And if you're listening to a rebroadcast, I'm out there, assuming that it's Saturday, I'm out there from 10 to 2. If you're listening on a Thursday or Friday, I am not out there. This is Saturday. I'm out there from 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. every Saturday, 10 a.m. till 2 p.m.
Increasingly, we're having repeat broadcasts, huh?
Yeah. And people are showing up, too. So on those days, maybe I should show up to the Dave Cave from 10 to 2, 10 to all day long.
Hey.
Yeah.
Not a bad
But I'll be
idea.
out there today till 2 a.m.
Dave, listen, before you go,
yes,
I want you to give us a little promo about the infomercial that you have recently produced. It's not released yet, but it's about to be. It's on the cusp of being released, right?
I tell you what, man, anybody who's interested in Dr. Wallach's products, longevity, anybody who has health problems, anybody who wants to start a business, anybody who has a pet, we cover all that stuff and more. This is amazing. It's probably the best hour and a half that I've ever heard with Dr. Wallach. And that's because I've been a distributor for 7 years, and I know what questions to ask them. I know what people want. I deal with hundreds of questions every month, so I know what people want. I know what they are curious about, and I ask Dr. Wallach, and it's right there.
And you took the bull by the horns that nobody else in the. I think we've got 1 million members now. I think we do.
Oh, I'm sure we do.
Yeah, but I know we have hundreds of thousands
at least
in longevity for sure, worldwide. But you're the only one that I know of who took the bull by the horn to produce a media tool that has been in great need, and you made it happen. So thank you.
I like to help people, MZ. Anybody who's interested is going to find that helpful, and that's what I like to do. I like to help people. Meet me out at the Dave Cave. I'll be out there till 2, and we'll hang out.
All right,
okay?
Great. Thank you, Dave.
Good morning. A brighter day is here. Good morning. May we bring you cheer.
We've got time, we've got tunes, we've got time, tunes, and temperature.
Get up and go, it's today, on KSCO Radio.
Welcome to all of you from 2300 Portola Drive in Santa Cruz, California. Santa Cruz is a pretty cool place to be from, right, Josh?
I agree.
Yeah. It used to be sort of an embarrassing place to be from, but now that's changed,
How so?
Well, I'll explain it in a minute.
Good morning. Now stay right here on KSCO Radio.
While we are waiting for the arrival of our special guest, you and I can have that discussion.
Oh boy, what discussion?
Did you forget already? Because you asked me a question and I said, wait, let's let them.
Oh yes, that's right. What made Santa Cruz embarrassing to be originating from at first?
Because it would just do silly things. It was just a strange place. And then people started realizing that instead of being embarrassed about a place that the place that you're from that's weird. In fact, there's now a slogan, that says "Keep Santa Cruz Weird."
Yeah.
And there's the Santa Cruz dot on thousands and maybe even millions of T-shirts and sweatshirts and things. You know, the little
Absolutely.
Santa Cruz thing. That's if you look at the bottom, it says skateboards.
I've even seen that in L.A.
L.A. My God, I've seen it across the world. I mean, there isn't a place. Not that I've been to that many places, but I've been to probably more places than the average person, and I see it everywhere. So Santa Cruz is now. It's sort of become a worldwide brand, more than a destination, you know, more than a place. So I think that's pretty cool. And we're the radio station licensed to the worldwide brand, you know, place.
Absolutely.
See, what's wrong with that? All right, so tell me what was so great about your New Year's that you're so happy about.
Well, I went to a New Year's Eve event, and it basically consisted of a music festival that played primarily electronic music, but it was a very fun event, and the setup was great. And my most favorite part of all was when they said a certain artist was going to be there and playing at a certain time. Like, let's say they're playing at 8 p.m., I look at my watch, they're actually playing at 8 p.m. because some of these events, these organizers don't know how to start their bands on time. And that was something that was nice, that was well worth pointing out. And also just getting to be out of town and tour a bit of L.A. It was just gorgeous. And I got a train trip in as well, so that was
What
nice.
choo-choo did you go on, the Amtrak?
Of course.
That's about the only one left, huh?
It is, yeah. Well, they've got multiple options. The one I did was called the Pacific Surfliner, so I had to start either in Santa Barbara or San Luis Obispo with a bus beforehand. And the bus part obviously sucks, but the train part was nice, gorgeous coastal views, and they even give you this little box if you're a business class customer with various treats. And they even put the hashtag train treats on it. It made me feel valued.
Well, great. Okay. Let me introduce my friend in a familiar this time of year voice on KSCO, Mrs. Butterworth herself. Hi there, Mrs. Butterworth. How are you?
Hello, I'm well. How are you, MC?
Good.
Happy
good.
New Year.
To you and everybody, too.
2020. Oh, 2020. I've got vision for 2020. Get it?
Yeah, 2020 vision. See, I'm a little slow.
Yeah.
But better slow than dead.
That's true.
You know?
That's true.
Or better slow than retarded.
Well,
That's not a
that
good
is-
word to use, right?
Well, that does mean slowed. It's just they're synonymous, MZ.
You know, people, there was a time when that word was in use quite a bit. Then it became very politically incorrect to use.
But you're used, but yeah, if you're using it in a derogatory sense to
No, I don't
put
speak
someone down.
derogatorily of
but it
anybody.
does mean slowed.
Yeah.
So maybe you need another soda. Don't drink that stuff.
No.
So what's up for 2020 at the station with you and with the community? There's so much going on.
I'm hoping to install some really interesting new programs. There's like a man on the street. We've always been set up for, but never really done a man on the street or woman on the street or person on the street or non-gender on the street.
You know, you've missed the market here, because think about Santa Cruz County. That would be what other place in the world can you get a better perspective of the man,
More
woman
characters
on the street?
per square
More
inch.
characters, yeah.
Than anywhere
and
on
you
the
have
planet.
one right here, me, in your studio, another character.
Will you
Come
do
in
it?
Here. Sure, yeah, on the
Okay.
street, yeah. I know you read in the Good Times, they ask the question, every, in the Good Times they ask a question, like a random question, like, what would your questions be this year for people? What are your expectations for 2020? What do you?
Hey, that's what you asked me.
I know, yeah. And there's like, with my work and what we do, I want to ask people, what warms your heart, what breaks your heart, all that.
Your heart is broken all the time.
Yeah.
Your heart is warmed all the time. It's an emotional roller coaster like I can't fathom. Some people know, but I'll remind those who don't, that you are the executive director of Jacob's Heart, which is a nonprofit organization that is one of my favorite ones in the world.
Mine too.
That serves families where their children have been diagnosed with cancer. And you have some really nice success stories over the 2+ decades that you've been doing this. And you have some sad failures. That's not the wrong word. Wrong word.
Even the sad. Well, we would call it like a sad outcome.
Outcome.
The
right.
outcome that. But even what I've found over these last 20 years is that even in the midst of suffering, like humans should never go through, we find moments of extreme joy and love that you really, that is like we talk about hope at Jacob's Heart, as hope is the antidote to despair. So if we can bring hope in the midst of despair, that's where we find deep meaning and purpose and really that connection to life. So that's what we do. That's how we do it.
And it is done absolutely masterfully, because I visited some of your events. And I visited your
the camp and
I call that an event, but I visited your office a number of times in the Watsonville area. You are out on Beach Drive,
West Beach, West Beach, Granite, right across the street from Granite Construction and Martinelli's. There, there's this building that was just kind of sitting empty that Granite was using for things now and then, but they donated the space to us. So we have 7,500 square foot family center. It's just beautiful. The community came together and we've just really built this program, built this around community. And that's the other thing that we're talking about 2020. One of the things we really want to do throughout the community is just really connect people with things that are meaningful to them and connect the community. And so we've built this, we call it like a family of families, which is extended families, because the community here in Santa Cruz and Monterey counties really supports this effort and other efforts that really address the needs of people who really need us to pull for them. And for us, it's children with cancer and their families. And that's I want to bring up a topic.
Sure.
Yeah. So it was your show. Now it's mine.
Yeah.
How's that sound?
Fine.
No, so on the way over, I was listening to another radio station, but...
What?
Yeah, I know, yeah.
This is an outrage.
I know. Sorry, Michael Olson. But anyway, they were interviewing the editor of Chronicle of Philanthropy about the tax law and how the new tax law is affecting charitable giving, across the country. And, that because now the standard deduction has been doubled. So more and more people are taking the standard deduction, which would mean they're not itemizing their taxes. And then they would not be itemizing their taxes for charitable deductions, right? So everybody not everybody, but there are people in the nonprofit world who are worried about that, like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen to small community-based nonprofits? Because across the country, it has affected this tax law has affected giving, I guess, of small nonprofits because fewer people are itemizing. But I take issue with that to say that in our community and around with Jacob's Heart, people give here, I think, more than other places because of the connection, because of what is done locally with charitable gifts and not as much for tax write-offs.
Oh.
Because, and I'm looking at, there is some emerging research showing that people give locally, not for tax write-offs. They give locally for impact. Because if someone's going to choose a local charity, they're going to do so because of impact. So I'm taking issue with the Chronicle of Philanthropy around their projections about local nonprofits, and I'm going to do some research around that and really look at it.
Local Bay Area, local California,
locally based, community-based nonprofits in general across the country.
Okay.
So we have a microcosm here where we can study things, and so I'm going to look at that and study the impact of the tax law over the next 3 years around charitable gifts and see if that really rings true here. And I'm hypothesizing that it won't. That will show that this community will continue to give because of the connections, like I just described, around community, like what we have in our community and that connection with the nonprofits. There's an exceptional kind of...
Is 100% of the income to your nonprofit, Jacob's Heart, from charitable giving?
Yes, yeah. We do have a new program. We have a connection. So for 21 years, we have run our programs solely on people writing checks. And we do get grants, but we don't get federal grants or anything like that. It's really community-based. And that allows Jacob's Heart to have the flexibility to really use those funds where it's needed most, because we're not constrained by a whole lot of regulation. And we've chosen to be that way. Now, our transportation program, we do have a contract now, just this year, with the Central California Alliance for Health, so that we can provide transportation to more children than just the children with cancer. And that's rides to Stanford and UCSF from Santa Cruz and Monterey counties. So that program, we do have a relationship with the Central California Alliance for Health, which does help pay for some of the transportation provision. And that allows us to expand that program. So now more and more kids will be assured that they're getting rides to treatment and they're getting there on time. So it just built but all of our other programs, everything, like our counseling program, our camp, our financial support, rent assistance, grocery deliveries, all the array of services that Jacob's Heart provides come from community donations. And it's extraordinary. It is extraordinary what we can do with it. And we're not the only one here. There's so many really great nonprofits in our area.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, yeah. And so our community is really blessed with that. And I'm really proud of the work that the nonprofit sector does in Santa Cruz, Monterey counties, but also the support and commitment from the community that we couldn't do it otherwise. And so back to my point really is all of this fear and all this backlash around the tax law, around, Trump's tax law, people talking about how it is going to kill small community-based nonprofits.
Well, just the Trump haters.
I don't think that's, objectively.
Nothing Trump can do is right.
I don't think that's true.
Right, good.
Oh, here we have a guest. Oh, I was sitting...
A primitive guest.
Yeah, okay, so... So... Now, since I took over your show.
Since you took over my show. Look,
can I
introduce our guest for today? Okay?
Can I?
Yeah, please.
Okay.
And guest, pull the microphone to about an inch from your lips, okay? Yeah, that'll be...
An inch, like this. See this?
Way close.
For those of you that are just listening, he's looking at how I have my microphone.
Well, you don't have it right either.
I don't?
No.
Why?
Because it's more than an inch from your lips.
Could be like
this close?
Now
Now you got to turn me down.
I had to turn you up. You would.
That's sort of like what they do in nightclubs. When they're singing so closely into the microphone, they're almost like kissing the microphone.
Ew. Andrew
Andrew's
Perez.
here. Andrew Perez is here.
Yes, I'm here.
You're here.
Hey,
Get
why don't
closer
we
to
let
the
Andrew
microphone.
introduce
himself?
himself?
Yeah, introduce yourself, Andrew.
Who are you, Andrew?
I am a 17-year-old high school student who, what should I say? Like, what should I introduce about?
Just
anything.
Give a bio.
Just my
yourself.
spiel.
It could be a 5-minute. It could be a 20-minute. It could be a 5-second.
Okay.
It's whatever you want. We're easy around here.
Got it. Okay. So my name is Andrew Perez. I'm a high school student at GECA, and 2 years ago I was diagnosed with a not super rare, but rare type of bone cancer called osteosarcoma, which led me to start donating or raising funds for Jacob's Heart.
So before you started raising the funds, you went through... I mean, before you
He's
became...
really jumping ahead.
I know. Before you became an incredible philanthropist, which I want everybody to hear about, how'd you get through it? How'd you get through that cancer?
It was pretty difficult, but having the support from Jacob's Heart and the counselor that I had, Mariela, it was actually pretty, like, it went smooth. It went a lot smoother than I expected it to go. Yeah.
How old were you when you got the diagnosis?
I was 14 years old, and I was turning 15
Right in
in
the middle
2
of high
months.
school. Yeah, yeah. So, Andrew, could you kind of, a lot of people listening, some people that are listening have had cancer. There are a lot of people in our community that have experienced cancer, gone through it. They know what the treatment's like. They know firsthand.
If they haven't themselves,
If they haven't
got
themselves,
someone
they've seen
really
someone.
close to
Yeah.
them. Yeah.
But what a lot of people that are listening probably don't really get and they might be interested in learning about is what it's like for a teenager, or it's different when you're a kid.
Yeah.
So-
Having cancer as a teenager is kind of just like the end all be all. It's horrible. You kind of don't know what to do. Your life kind of just stops in one spot because you have all these friends and you're super active, going out all the time, want to be as cool as possible, to show off to your friends. But once you get cancer, it's kind of everything stops. You get in this, I guess, dark hole where you can't really go out. You can't do anything with your friends. You're just kind of secluded, which was not horrible, but it was pretty bad considering that I was just starting high school and wanted to make a good impression. As I went through treatment, I kind of realized who were my real friends and who weren't, which was a really hard thing to do, understanding that I like these people, but they don't like me necessarily, or that they're not as supportive as I thought they were. That was pretty difficult, but although I think that was one of the hardest parts, it really made me grow as a person, understanding who I could really rely on and if I ever need to,
Yeah, I think when you go through hard times, everybody has experienced when you go through something really hard, you really do learn who your real friends are, who the people who really are true to you. And so often people don't know what to do and they don't know what to say.
And obviously, without naming names, the people who surprised you, whom you thought were your friends, in what way did you realize that they weren't as your true friends?
Well, I'll give an example.
Give
I'll give an example of someone who was really my friend and then someone who wasn't. So I had this really close friend all the way through middle school and then going through high school. Right when I was diagnosed, he came over with his family. And we just sat there, like, crying together. And after that, he came over pretty much every day. Like, every weekend, he would spend the nights, like, every single time he would come over. Like, he would shower at my house just in case to be clean. He would wear a mask, everything. He was just there all the time, 24/7. He would even miss school to hang out with me sometimes.
That is a true friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
that didn't really surprise you because you were already friends, or did it surprise you?
It surprised me a little bit because we weren't that close. It kind of like shifted to this relationship where it was more like family rather than a friend. Like my parents see him as like a brother or one of their kids because he was over so much. Not one person, but like an example of someone who wasn't really my friend was like, it was weird. Whenever I'd go visit to my school, they would like just kind of like stare at me and just kind of ignore me, which like obviously like frustrated me. It's like, ask what's going on, don't just stare at me.
Why were they staring at you?
Probably because I looked different, bald head, probably had an old man haircut because I would always shave my head like that. But people would just like always stare at me, which kind of sucked. Just like knowing that I was different, that it was ingrained in my head that I was different. Especially when I get the stares, I was like, okay, like kind of that reminder that, oh, you're not the same as everyone else, you're different.
And then there were some times we just talked before you got here about hope and despair. Like those are the opposites, and there are times when you were in deep despair.
Yeah.
And there were times when you found hope.
Yeah. Well, through my treatment, this is kind of a weird thing to say, and I know it's kind of odd for people to think about, but every day I would tell myself I was going to die. I told myself that every day. So if I did die, it wouldn't like be a shock to me. I wouldn't be scared, which I know is hard for my mom to hear, and I can't imagine how it is for the listeners to hear. But every day, yeah, I would tell myself I was going to die. But as one thing that brought me hope, right? No, I guess two would be, one would be my family and seeing them happy, like whenever they would get good news, or that my cancer wasn't back, or that my surgery went well. That was something that drove me to get better. But also when my niece was going to be born, I knew I had to meet her. So that pushed me. Like, I tried so hard to survive. I was like, all my pills on time, everything. Brushing my teeth like 5 times a day to make sure I don't get any bacteria, like making sure my antibiotics were taken every day. So
the birth, the when you found out that you're going to have a niece,
yeah,
that kept you going.
Really pushed me to keep going and keep trying, keep fighting.
There was another story that you've told me before about Mariela, about meeting her.
Oh yeah. So
Mariela, she's the teen support specialist at Jacob's Heart, but you can tell about her story, like what connection you guys have.
So when Mariela first came over, this is a really funny story actually. When Mariela first came over, I thought she was extremely tall. Okay, so I thought she was really tall, but when she sat down, and like this really tall lady, she talked to me and she told me about her story, how she had stage 4 cancer and she relapsed 3 times.
3 times, yeah.
She relapsed 3 times. And like hearing that story and just understanding what happened to her and her surviving and going through it all.
And you guys were the same age when you were diagnosed. Yeah.
We were the same age when we were diagnosed. Just understanding that I wasn't the only one. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. I wasn't the only one going through this, that other people have went through this, was something that just drove me to keep going. It was just like, I want Mariela to see me at the end of the other end of this tunnel. You know, I want to see, prove to her that I'm strong. And that's what really pushed me.
Yeah, that's so then I think this is the unique part about you, of all the kids I've known with cancer, 21 years. So I'm going to tell a little story. So one day, Andrew decided after he was cancer-free, how long had you been? You were just done with treatment at that point. You were like, when you first came back to volunteer.
4 months out.
4 months out. So 4 months done with treatment, major surgeries, long times in the hospital, just all the craziness you'd gone through. You decided to come back to Jacob's Heart. And I don't know what you guys were doing, some kind of volunteer thing. You
were painting bags.
Painting bags for the grocery deliveries, because we deliver groceries to the kids with cancer. Like we would do like 60 to 70 grocery deliveries. And so Andrew and a couple other of the teens from our teen group decided to come back and paint bags, decorate the bags, so that when the kids got the bags of groceries, they'd look really great. So he's out there, and then he comes. So I'm sitting back in my office, and he comes back in my office, sits down across my desk. And you were super nervous, right? Yeah.
It was.
Yeah. Come close to the microphone.
I was shaking when I went over there. I was like, oh my God.
Into my office, because you're going to tell me something, right?
This is the ED of Jacob's Heart. So I was really nervous because I didn't want to like pitch myself, but I kind of had to. I had to prove what I was going to do.
So what'd you say? You said, I was sitting there at my desk, and you sat across me and you said.
So I remember just sitting there and being like, talking about my story for a little. We talked about our story. We talked for a really long time. It was
we had
3 hours. Mm-hmm. But so we were talking for a while, and then I just kind of pitched it to her. I was like, I want to donate $5,000 to Jacob's Heart. And then we kind of talked over it, and at first she was saying no. But then after, we made it into this huge thing where we were going to change that 5,000 and add a little zero to the end of it and make it 50,000. To make it not so little of a number.
Yeah. So since he was insisting that he wanted to give, and then one of the things that you said to me that day, Andrew, changed my life.
Really?
And a lot of things that you've done and said have changed my life. And I'm going to tell you on the radio right now what it was.
Okay.
You said, I want to go to college, and I have been raising this money through 4-H. My 4-H, and he goes, and I remember you said, this is a little sidebar, he said, I don't know why more people don't do 4-H. You know, I make a lot of money.
Yeah,
and here's
I do.
this, you were 16 at the time. And he's a 16-year-old kid, and he goes, I've already raised $40,000 for college. And I went, what? That's great.
Yeah.
And then he says, and that's enough for me. That's enough. I have enough for myself. And now I want to give the rest of whatever I raise, which is the goal is $5,000, to Jacob's Heart. And I thought, what if everybody in the world felt that way? You know, to have enough. You had at age 16, you had already learned what is the ancient writings of the Tao Te Ching, which is, he who knows when enough is enough will always have enough. And I thought, I want to learn by that. I want to know when enough is enough, and then give from that place of, like, it's from a place of real abundance, right? So I share that with other people when I'm asking them for donations. I say, hey, this kid's 16 years old, you know, he knows that enough is enough, and he wants to give. Yeah. And we shifted the thinking around that, from giving from a place of gratitude, and not from a place of obligation.
Yeah.
Like, it's not something you have to do. It's something you choose to do. So anyway, we started on this journey to make the gift 5 to 50.
Yeah. That was a big number.
Yep, and you did it. Who helped you? Are you going to let us tell who helped close the gap? No, yeah. MZ helped him close the gap. Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about, I like that concept. I like that. I've become an honorary Italian. I talk with my hands, right? So, did I just say something that was offensive?
MZ, if you didn't say something that was offensive on the radio on a Saturday, what would it be? It wouldn't be the Saturday special, right?
Okay, listen, Andrew, I think all this is really good, and we need to tell your story. But I've got an ulterior motive here. For a long time, I've wanted to have a radio program, a regular radio program on KSCO, maybe 1 or 2 hours a week, by, for, and about young people. You're a young people.
Yes, I am.
Yeah. And recently, you and I had a conversation on the telephone, during which I thought you communicated to me that you would be interested in something like that.
I did.
Okay? And I'm really interested in that, and I'm really interested because of who you are and where you came from and how I know you. Mm-hmm. There's a natural tie-in between you and me and Jacob's Heart and Lori Butterworth, and hopefully what we're doing today is creating that connection between you and the community of people that listen to KSCO. Yeah. My vision for this program, okay, and that doesn't necessarily mean that that's where it's going to go, but my vision for the program is not to dwell on, cancer stories, happy endings, sad endings, so forth. I want to dip into that now and then, and people, I think that'll just happen automatically when people call in, and it just sort of comes up. I mean, something will be said which will, remind you of something that's happened to you that might be Jacob's Heart related, or recovery related, or shock to your person related, and learning how to deal with problems and things that hit you negatively in life. But I want to know I want this to be an added dimension for KSCO. We're going to be having lots of dimensions. Before you got here, Lori and I were talking about a person on the street. You know, we've had technology for years and years and years. I mean, even before I was born, we had great technology to do a person on the street. I also want to do a program that showcases businesses. Local businesses, whether or not they're an advertiser on KSCO. Everybody's got who's in business. Chances are they're pretty passionate about that business, and they have a great story to tell. So let's focus on those. Let's have a program that focuses on those stories. We might end up with 2 or 3 or 4 young person oriented talk shows. Yeah. But one of the things I hope would come out of our meeting today on the air on the KSCO Saturday special was to maybe help this vision of mine take shape, you know, in your head, and maybe people will call 479-1080. Maybe the listeners will have some ideas and let us know what they would like to hear on a young person show. Yeah. Like I said, you could probably you and I can talk about this, Lori, you know, at a later date, you know, not necessarily on the air, but we have talked about this before, and that is what you've done with Jacob's Heart and what Jacob's Heart has become in the last 2+ decades is and should be a greatly replicated model for other communities, okay? And with the tools of technology and media that is evolving more so every day, but it's evolved to the point, you know, decades ago, where a regular Jacob's Heart media network can be very, very beneficial in spreading the good and helping people to help you. By the way, you got jacobsheart.org. Is that what the website is? If people want to, match. Where does it stand right now?
I knew you were going to ask that, and I'm still adding the numbers. But I think last I saw, towards the 50 this year, we're at 38. So we got a little ways to go.
That's nothing to sneeze at.
That's nothing to sneeze at.
That's way better than where we were at last year.
Yeah.
And I believe there are people in the KSCO audience who can, you know, help you get that point.
Yeah. I think it's interesting with the match. Can I say, so often when cancer patients need transplants, they need to find their match. Right? You need to find a match.
Yeah,
transplant.
A kidney or whatever.
Or bone marrow match.
Yeah.
Or so we want to meet your match. Right?
It's a double entendre.
It is. I'm just making sure you got it.
Even I got that. No.
We're making some progress.
Yeah. So Andrew, you're back at school now. You're entering your senior year in high school. Is that correct?
No, I'm ending my senior year.
You're ending your senior year.
Yeah, this is my last semester.
That's what I thought, and then somehow I got the other. Yeah, 17 is like the end. Yeah, it's like you didn't really lose anything, did you?
No.
So you're graduating right when you should graduate. In fact, you might be graduating early. Most people graduate when they're 18.
Yeah, I'm graduating. I started school early when I was a kid, so.
Oh.
And also, he's taking college level courses in high school too.
Okay.
He's exceptional.
So I know this is impossible, but forget about Jacob's Heart for a second here. If you were to do a radio program, an interactive radio program where you come up with a topic, one or more topics, maybe a guest, maybe not a guest, and just sort of do a monologue for something and on the radio, and put out the call for people to join in the conversation.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you would like? You've got a lot of thoughts. You're a bright guy. I mean, what are those thoughts, and how would you like to develop? I'm just trying to get you thinking here. Not to put you on the spot, but you know.
I don't know necessarily what it would be about. been dabbling in politics, but I feel like that's a heated topic to go into nowadays. It's a little
No
bit,
question about that.
a little bit.
But the
iffy.
more heated a topic is, the more phone calls you're going to get.
Oh, it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that's one of the topics I'd like to dabble in, but I don't know if that would be okay. So
Whatever you want.
anything.
Yeah. The only thing that's not okay. No, it is okay. I was going to say to make a fart noise on the radio.
Oh no, that's okay.
I got fired for that on here at KSCO in this very building on January 4th, 1967.
Making a fart noise.
It was a raspberry sound. That's just like raspberry, or something. And I thought we had done the best Santa Cruz High School on the air radio show. I was 14. No, I was 15. And I have the tape. If anybody wants to hear the tape of that actual, I don't have it right now, but I have it somewhere. I thought we had done the best show ever. I've told this story 1,000 times on the radio, so people are sick of it. But I'm telling you,
Yeah.
I thought we'd done the best one ever. And Mr. Berlin, the managing partner of KSCO, came storming into the room afterwards and said, "Zwerling, you're through." And I was shocked and horrified. And all my other high school chums who were with me, who would help me do the program, not knowing it would be the last program. He really didn't get rid of the program. He got rid of me because I'm the one who made the fart noise. But because in a heartwarming show of solidarity, the others said, if MZ's gone, so am I. So I said, it looks like there's no more high school program anymore, Mr. Berlin. No, I didn't do that. I didn't do that. I was tempted, but I didn't.
But we were just talking about real friends. Your friends they had your back.
Yeah.
Your friends backed you up.
They had
Yes.
Yeah.
And Mr. Berlin was my worst enemy, was my most reviled human being for several years because...
Is he still alive?
No, he died.
Oh, okay.
He died in 1993, but not before we had become really good friends. Because a few years, probably 5 or 6 years after, maybe 7 or 8 years after, sometime after that event, that life-changing event that scarred me for life, losing my radio show, right? You don't know this yet. But if you get into the radio, I'm just telling you in front of everybody. If you get into this, you're going to get a fever. I predict you're going to get a fever, and if something happens and you lose that radio show, you're not going to like the person who took the radio show away from you. Because I know that how I felt about Mr. Berlin, and I didn't like him one bit. But someday, somehow, years later, when I ended up buying the radio station back that he had sold to someone else, who were good people and good broadcasters, but they didn't understand this community, so they fell on their faces. They didn't do very well with the radio station.
And then when did you take it? When did you take it back? What was?
Well, I take it back. I bought it.
When
I
did you buy
bought it in on January 31st, 1991. So at the end of this month, the last day of this month, we will celebrate 29 years of owning KSCO. But it was 24 years before that, in January of 1967, that this horrible thing happened to me. I lost my radio show for making a fart noise. And now that I'm in charge, if you do a radio show, you can make all the fart noises you want.
I'll make sure to do one.
Okay, good. Just symbolic. But anyhow, Andrew, I think you and I think the radio station can do a lot of good by creating a dialogue between the generations.
Yeah.
When I was in college, there was a lot of talk about the generation gap. I haven't heard that term for quite a while. Maybe you've never heard it, but I think it would be a good thing to do to bridge the generation gap. It would also be a wonderful thing to do to bridge the political gap.
Oh, yes.
I don't know if that's going to happen. because talk radio might have fanned the flames and made it worse. I'd hate to say, because when I got this place, I had big plans for it. That in 29 years we have been not complete, but large, major failure. We've sort of gotten sucked up in the whole talk radio, left-wing versus right-wing, liberal versus conservative, Democrat versus Republican, all that kind of stuff. Negative stuff that gets you nowhere, Mm-hmm. When my
if there's
plan...
ever going to be a unity that's going to come through the youth. I mean, because,
Great.
we're getting up there. So if the unity is going to happen, it's going to happen at your generation level, Andrew. And so maybe on the radio is a way to start that.
Well, in class, I feel like there's majority liberal, right? And then there's that one mind, like the three people that believe in like the more conservative views.
In high school right now?
Yeah.
Are those people shunned by their brethren? No, that's not the right word. They're not their brethren.
I like that word though.
Shunned?
Brethren. No, not necessarily.
How about their teachers?
No, the teachers actually, like the one teacher that we have, our government teacher is really supportive over all of our views. But there's some of the more liberal, like, I guess like the really liberal people in the class that really like think that the conservative views are like disgusting or that it's like horrible. And I don't know. It's kind of... To me,
and they don't want to hear it. I don't mean to put words in your mouth. Is that true? They don't want to hear something that they think is disgusting?
Yeah, they kind of, I don't know. It's weird. They kind of just push it away and they're like, oh, that's wrong. That's like horrible. What are you saying? And which I don't know if I classify myself as a conservative or a liberal, but I know like what views I follow and like what doesn't, I guess not what doesn't affect me you can do, but I just focus on what affects me, not necessarily what affects everyone else.
Or what seems right to you.
Yeah.
And I reject labels, always have. I get unfairly labeled as a conservative because I own a station that has Rush Limbaugh on it. That's enough to get you branded as a conservative in this town.
But
And
look
everything
at
that goes with that. All the other labels that go, it's not just, that's just not one label. Like if someone labels you a conservative or me a liberal or whatever it is, the label, there's so much attached to that label. So one thing we talk about in philosophy is like define terms. Like you need to know what the term conservative means, and you need to know what the term liberal means, and whether or not
the meanings change.
The meanings
with
change.
time.
So when you're having conversations, like Andrew, like in your class, when you're having conversations with people, with your classmates, to really define when you say you're a conservative or you say you're a liberal, what does that mean? And so that we can have a starting point like that, so we can avoid all the other secondary labels that come with that. Because someone slaps a label on you, they make all kinds of assumptions about other things about you that may or may not be
if
true.
There's one label I can live with, it's the following: individual.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Okay, because that doesn't brand me. That's not going to define me, like you just described.
Yeah. So one of the things, I think a theme that you guys have been talking about is, and we're talking about Andrew's show, is friendship. What are friendships like for teens right now? Because it's very different from when I was growing up or MZ was growing up, because we had friends, we hung out together, we talked, we would connect face to face. Now they're connecting, Android to iPhone, kind of like that, those kinds of connections. What's happening how do you learn to trust people? Like through your cancer experience.
We're on a roll, but I got to warn you that 15, 20 seconds where the news is going to get us. But we got a whole hour ahead of us.
But maybe it's really about friendships.
Yes.
And how do you know who's a true friend? You learned because of cancer, but how do other people know who their true friends are? How am I doing on time?
News Talk time coming up at 11:06. And with that, hour number 2 of the Saturday special begins right here on AM 1080 KSCO Santa Cruz.
It sure does, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, hello, darling. I hate to hang up on you, but I'm sorry, baby, but I have to go. It's time it, but you'll have to call back. KSCO has the inside track.
We bid farewell to Lori Butterworth, Mrs. Butterworth. But we're going to have Andrew for the hour.
I'm sorry, baby, but I really gotta go to KSCO Radio. Bye.
And we welcome all of you, not just some of you, all of you, to hour number 2 of the KSCO Saturday Special. My name is MZ. Josh Stevens is the pilot in command.
It's me.
And Andrew Perez is our special guest. Hi, Andrew Perez.
Hi, how are you guys?
We hope Andrew Perez is a future world-class talk host here on KSCO. We hope.
Me
We're going to try to... good. You too. Good.
Yeah.
So we have the same thing. If you want to call in and try Andrew out,
I'll try my best.
Hit something at him. Throw something at him. 479-1080. That's in area 831. Or you can email me, mz@ksco.com. Margaret in Santa Cruz called in 42 minutes and 56 seconds ago. And we weren't taking calls then, but since she has persevered, we're going to take her call now. But okay, here. Hi, Margaret. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. God bless you all.
Oh, thank you. Right back at you. It said here, it says here on the screen, asks about preventing childhood, and I think that means, I think it said cancer, but it ran out of space. If you don't mind, let's turn away from cancer and turn toward a young person's show, or 2 or 3 or 8, or might as well, replace all the old fart shows on the station with young people stuff. Is that okay? Do you have any thoughts on that, Margaret?
Well, I'm just so happy to hear that this young man survived this. It must have been terribly scary. And I was just wondering, what are his possible thoughts about or anything that's available regarding the cause of all this cancer, and better still, the prevention of childhood cancer. And going forward, is he, targeting these causes or these preventions? And has he ever heard of the Gerson therapy?
Most of the things that I know about preventing cancer were like different treatments that have been brought up to me. So one were the CBD droplets that I was supposed to be taking, but I didn't, to prevent my specific cancer. But I really don't know any other cancer preventions.
Yeah, how about the cause?
The cause of my cancer was directly from me growing 6 inches in 4 months. So one of my cells went haywire and turned into a cancer cell.
Okay, and what about the Gerson therapy? That's Gerson?
I've never heard of the Gerson therapy, actually.
Well, we have to go into that. That's a show unto itself, and I'm happy you brought that up, because Gerson, I believe, there's a local connection, right, Margaret?
Local? I'm not sure. I wouldn't doubt it.
Carmel, yeah, the Gerson, a relative to Gerson, and it used to be a resident. In fact, I think I had Max Gerson on. Max Gerson, maybe it was, some years ago. But anyhow, thank you very, very much for calling 479-1080. That was Margaret in Santa Cruz. And now, Jaunty.
Hey, MZ.
Hi, Jaunty. Jaunty is our director of digital media here for KSCO, KOMY, and ZBS. And we've started a regular segment at the top of the second hour of the Saturday special, where Jaunty checks in with us and clues us in and reminds us about a lot of the digital platforms that we have available for our programs. Once we produce a program live on your favorite radio station here at KSCO, within a half hour or so, it automatically gets uploaded to the cloud, and anybody can hear it forever unless someone sabotages us. And that's another reason we have Jaunty here, to make sure that doesn't happen.
Or to take care of it when it does, but hopefully we won't have to deal with that anytime soon.
Right.
Great conversation, everybody. A fan of what you all are doing with regards to, before the break, you were talking about the role of identity vis-a-vis the particularly political auspices of contemporary culture. MZ, let me see, what can I report? There's a really neat thing that I got working the other day, which takes a podcast and automatically turns it into a decent-looking YouTube video and Facebook video, and uploads it to YouTube and Facebook automatically. So all you do is you post your podcast, and then you're being distributed in those two extremely popular mediums, while you go and have a cup of tea or something like that and go for a walk. So excited to get that.
Presumably, when Andrew, not if, but when Andrew gets his show going here on KSCO, he can do whatever he wants with that show himself, but a lot of the distribution is going to be automatic, I think is what you're saying, Jaunty, right?
Yeah, I'll talk to Andrew about that sort of thing. I also thought that to anybody out there in our audience, anybody who has a regular podcast that they do, that would be interested in learning more about what I just described, send me an email, jc@ksco.com. That's jc@ksco.com. And I'll give you a little bit of advice and point you in the right direction.
Good. Okay. So let's see. Anything new from Nishit?
Yeah, we've pretty much finalized Android, and iOS should be done soon. That's for the KSCO app remake.
For the people who are shocked at what they just heard, who are inclined to say you're not allowed to say that, Nishit is our how do you describe Nishit? He makes our apps in India, and that's his name. So we can say his name. We're saying his name on the radio.
Yep.
Right, Jaunty?
Well, he's actually a very good programmer, but a lot of the time, what happens when you hire a programmer is they find the absolute most complex solution to the most simple problem. So a long time ago, I sort of realized that you could hire people to do any of a dozen different, programming or technology-intensive things, provided you knew enough of what they do to speak their language. And then you can sort of steer them away from these elaborate solutions that they tend to build, which then requires you to use them for any other thing you do until the end of time.
But that wasn't necessary with Nishit. Am I right?
Nishit's a vital. He's very good. I gave him a problem that when we first hired him, we had a problem that I posted on freelancer.com, and we had probably about 30 different people bid on it. Most of them, all of them, I said, look, if you want any chance of winning this bid, you have to describe to me what the solution entails. That narrowed it down to about 5. And after they really saw what the solution is, 4 of those 5 said, "Nah, we can't do that. It's not possible." And Nishit came back and said, "Give me 2 hours and it'll be done." So I was immediately impressed with the guy.
How can you not love Nishit?
Oh, he's a good guy.
He's wonderful. Yeah. So that's great. What is it, Josh? You keep making gestures.
Oh, I keep hovering my hand over the dump button.
Oh, is that what you're doing?
Yep, exactly.
Well, there's no need. I'm not going to say anything I'm not supposed to. And in fact, it would be it would be a disservice to our audience if I didn't talk more and more and more about Nishit. Because Nishit represents the future of our station. Right, Jonty?
Well, I mean, he plays
Nishit with you.
plays a role.
Nishit with you. I didn't mean to diss you.
Yeah. Well, if anybody out there in the audience wants to hire a really great development company, folks that actually can communicate at a high level are worth what you pay them. Again, send an email to jc@ksco.com. I'd be happy to refer you.
And you'll connect them with Nishit and Associates, right?
Sure.
Okay, good. So, well, I just assume you stay on for the whole hour. But no, I don't want to take any time from Andrew, even if there isn't any other phone call. And you're the only one on the board now, which I can't understand. What's wrong with you people out there? Don't you want to talk to Andrew? What the hell's the matter with you? Huh?
Stage fright.
Do you want to talk to Andrew?
I suppose I could.
Okay.
Well, your conversation was right in line. I mean, as you know, MZ, I got a degree in philosophy, so I'm very much enjoying the direction and intent of your conversation. But I feel like I could quite easily just step off and let you all continue. I'd be interested to hear what you say.
Do you have something interesting to say, Andrew?
About in regards to what?
Talk about putting a person on the spot. What a terrible thing I just did to this fine young man.
I zoned out because the light, the phone light, and then you called me out.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Well, Gordy in Deer Creek wants to talk to Andrew. So, Jonty, you can stay on if you want, or you can hang up and listen, or you can hang up and go surfing.
I think I'll listen for a bit. We're gonna be cleaning up the house because the kids have got 30 different Christmas presents, and we didn't have any room for anything before Christmas. So I've got to put a few things in the crawl space, whether they like it or not.
Okay. Well, it's possible to listen to KSCO because we're probably going to be talking about you behind your back, and it would be
good.
nice.
I hope so.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Jonty. Great to hear from you, and Happy New Year. Here comes Gordy in Deer Creek. The first time I've talked with Gordy in Deer Creek in 2020.
Yes, that's correct, Michael.
How in the world are you? Be on and talk a little closer to the telephone, please.
I'm okay. I don't want to talk about me. I want to talk with Andrew about his experience and what he's going to do going forward, hopefully, with his own program.
I'm doing really well this year. Feeling really good. I hope you're feeling good as well. With my program, I don't necessarily know what I want to do, and I'm really open to any ideas that the community has for me.
Do you have any ideas for Andrew, Gordy?
In a vague way, but I don't want to be a control factor in this.
He's asked. He's asked.
I'm asking.
Yeah, I want Andrew to take forward his experience, especially his social experience. There was mention earlier about being labeled and so forth and so on, and that's something very serious with younger people, being pigeonholed, as I call it, where they make assumptions about you, you're ostracized, you're left out of the group, you feel alone, and that's something I think that you have an opportunity to address, and I'm hoping that you will address that and let the kids know that they're not isolated, that they are together, and to help bring them together and understand and have compassion for one another, and not, what I call pigeonhole people into little boxes and set them aside. So I'm giving that to you as a possible scenario that you can run on your program on a regular basis, so that maybe other kids can call in, or younger people, I should refer to them as, other younger people that are having these kind of problems can feel that they have an open forum for them to express these feelings and to get support from other people that are having these same issues.
That's an amazing topic, honestly. I feel like
you have a lot of value in that. You've been through this.
That's something that you could do yourself, or you could have one or more guests with you in the studio,
Yeah.
or one and more guests with you from across the country on the telephone, or whatever.
I feel like that would be awesome, yeah, because that could be a pretty big topic that we can discuss over a while, over a pretty long time. So, yeah.
I'm really looking forward to this, MZ. I think your approach to getting in connection with the younger generations is a great idea. It's a necessary idea.
Before I get dementia and won't even be able to think about it, huh?
Well, you have to pass on what you know, and kind of father this thing here, and this will be part of your heritage. So I think it's something good all the way around. That's about all I have to say. Carry on, Andrew, and stay an individual.
I will. Thank you so much.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye, Gordy. 479-1080, that's an area 831, or you can MZ email at KSCO. You know what I'm trying to say. You can email mz at KSCO.com, or you can call 831-479-1080 to talk live and direct.
Or you can MZ email.
Yeah. Yeah, what he said. So
that's what you said twice.
I know that's what I said twice, and it's because it's a spoonerism. It's an unintended change of words or syllables, and just call me Spoonerism MZ. Okay, we're with Andrew Perez, and Andrew is a fun guy who's finishing his high school career. What are the college plans, or are there at this point?
So I plan to go to college down south, hopefully.
Have you applied?
Yeah, I applied.
Accepted?
We did like $800 worth of applications.
No. That's only like one or two, isn't it?
No, it's like 4 of each. So I did 8 colleges.
Yeah.
I got accepted to 1 so far, so which is nice, but I got accepted to Humboldt. Excited.
Oh.
But I'm going for business management, which I know is a pretty hard major to get into.
Why should that be so hard?
It's really impacted. There's a lot of people going into it, so they don't have a lot of space, so it's really competitive.
Oh, so because people want to make lots and lots and piles and piles of money.
Yes. Just like me. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, what? Don't be ashamed of that. That's fine. I mean,
I don't want to make that much money.
You're going to do. If you do, you're going to do a lot of good with it. I know that.
I feel like making a lot of money makes people sad, though. I feel like it. I guess not makes them sad, but it doesn't like fix any of the necessary like the pain that they had before.
Andrew, look. We're both waxing philosophical now.
I know.
Let me throw something at you, okay? See how you react. Money buys everything.
Yes, it does.
Particularly happiness.
I don't think so, because I don't have a lot of money, and I'm pretty happy right now.
Ding, 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 ding. You answered correctly.
Perfect.
Yeah, that was good. And you said something pretty insightful from someone who admittedly doesn't have much money. Mm-hmm. How do you know that having a lot of money is not the greatest thing? How would you even know that?
I feel like since I've listened to a lot of documentaries, a lot of different like interviews with wealthier people,
they don't seem very happy.
They don't seem very happy, but then also at the same time they said they're not like money isn't the cure for everything. Like look at Warren Buffett.
Okay, I'm looking.
Warren Buffett's super rich, a multi-billionaire, right? The man eats a Big Mac and drinks Diet Coke every day. That's like normal stuff that we would do. He's not going out buying Gucci every day or eating caviar-filled burgers, you know? He's living simply and he's happy.
That's a thought. If I could afford a caviar, it depends. I think I can afford a caviar-filled burger, but it depends on the grade of caviar. And
caviar?
Probably the grade of beluga caviar. No, I couldn't afford that. No, but lumpfish caviar,
lumpfish?
I could afford.
That sounds very appetizing, lumpfish.
So, yeah. So I think that's pretty cool. But what about money? I mean, you want to have enough to be able to pay your bills and be able to make people like Lori Butterworth happy to support, what she's so passionate about.
Well,
And
what my dad said was, if you live simple, you'll live a happy life. So if you live simply, you'll live a happy life. So he says that's what he has. He has his house, he has his car, he has enough food, enough money for food, pay the bills, and he lives simply. He doesn't go out buying lavish stuff. Like, he doesn't splurge. He buys just what he needs.
And a lot of people live above their means for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, your dad sounds like a pretty cool, level-headed dude to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like my father and my mother came back from poor backgrounds or low-income backgrounds.
Yeah.
And I feel like they realized that just having enough is, like, perfect for them. That they can live with just enough money to get by or to do what they want. And that will make them happy. That would be fine with them. Or at least to afford food every month. Because my mom told me stories of her not being able to have food when she was younger and struggling when they were younger. And I think that's a big thing that pushed them to just live simply and have enough food and house over our head and keep us happy and healthy.
Do you have siblings?
I have 3 sisters. And I guess I'd consider my sister's little one to be like my little sister too.
Ah.
Yeah.
And that's sweet. Oh, that's great. Yeah, and so there are so many things going on in the world, and it's changing so fast, and there's so much external stimuli. I mean, even do you have hobbies? I mean, do you like to play music, or are you?
Yeah, I do actually.
Yeah?
I like playing music a lot.
What kind of music? I mean, what instruments, and do you sing and all that?
I play guitar. I make a lot of different, I guess, more indie music, right? So I can play some drums, play a little bit of the piano. I can play the bass. So
the bass guitar or the string bass?
Guitar. Bass guitar.
Okay.
Sorry.
I played the string bass in orchestra.
Really?
In junior high, yeah.
Yeah,
the bass fiddle, my father used to call it.
The bass fiddle.
And I was coming out of orchestra. Everybody remembers well, you don't, because you weren't.
In orchestra.
Well, no, you weren't alive when President Kennedy was assassinated.
Oh, yeah, I was.
You were not in existence.
Maybe
but
I was.
I was like 12 years old or something. Yeah, I just turned 12, I think. And I was coming out of orchestra. If we had just finished playing the Danube Waltz or something, I don't know. And someone said the president's been shot, and of course, people thought it was making a joke, but it wasn't. It was the real deal. November 22nd, 1963. Everybody who was alive then, unless they were an infant or something, remembers what they were doing when they heard the news about Ken. You probably remember what you were doing. No, you don't. No, you don't. I was gonna say when 9/11 happened, but you were just a baby or not even around.
I wasn't born yet.
Yeah.
1 year before that.
Yeah, that's because you're only 17.
You know, it's funny. Oh wait, that's not
closer to the mic.
Oh, that's not. I shouldn't say. You know, it's funny.
Why?
I shouldn't start that out with talking about 9/11. But my sister was having her 5th birthday party when 9/11 happened.
Oh my!
She said they're about to cut the cake, and then my dad turned on the news, and that was going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's. I guess everyone does remember like when big things like that happen.
And the earthquake. The 89 earthquake, that was before your time.
Oh.
What isn't before your time that we could talk about where you remember, where you'll never forget what you were doing? Is there anything that you can
There's nothing.
In any apocalyptic event,
I wish.
Oh, you do?
There's nothing like. No, there's nothing really crazy. But I do have bad memory though.
What?
Because my chemo, I have bad memory.
Yeah.
So, if I can't remember, there's probably something.
Oh,
but I just
when you first got the diagnosis, that's got to be,
I was just sitting there in the doctor's office like this.
Because usually you get a diagnosis in a follow-up phone call in your home or something, or on your cell phone.
That happened with my mom. Yeah, that was scary.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but there's nothing really like big, like catastrophic, like the president being shot.
Yeah. So, everybody knows, that the future of the world belongs to the younger people, and who are people just coming of age, who young adults like yourself. How do you think people of your generation can and will make the world better?
Being completely honest,
yeah,
I don't think we will.
Why?
I feel like we're just gonna adapt to our predecessors. I feel like we might make our global environment a little bit better, right? Because I feel like that's a really big thing right now, or like save the turtles and stuff like that. I feel like that's a really big, I guess a movement, so to speak. It's pretty big right now, and just being green overall. But I feel like we'll always have necessarily a divide in different topics, like even politics. I feel like we'll always have that divide.
Yeah, but I mean,
you mean like
you can't remember a time in your life. I'm not putting words in your mouth. You take issue with me if you
Gotcha.
think I'm wrong. I don't think you can remember a time in your life when our country wasn't so polarized, and it seems to be getting worse every day. Do you agree with that statement?
Yeah, I do.
There's everybody has a very strong opinion.
Yeah,
about something about politics.
Well,
about
even
how the world
I see it
is,
with my
and
sister.
Trump, and you know.
My sister is like what you were talking about a couple days ago, where what Lori was talking about, that I hate Trump, right? And I wouldn't care if he died. I feel like my sister's kind of like that. My older sister, my 21-year-old, I feel like she's really, really against Trump, and I feel like she's not really open to understanding anyone's point of views.
Why do you think she? Do you think she is just aping talking points she's heard in the media, or do you think she's read things that have given her that?
She's been like that for a while, ever since she was first going to college. I feel like her political views really got concentrated, so to speak, when she went to college. She just adapted.
That's a great answer, and I think that's pretty much the way it was designed.
Yeah, it's it was kind of she just changed right after that. But it's not I'm not saying that I don't agree with a lot of her point of views. It's sometimes I feel like she's a little overboard, a little too much.
And a little too intolerant.
Yeah.
Would you consider yourself a very tolerant person?
Yeah, I feel like I'm pretty tolerant.
Even if you have really strong opinions or feelings about something or someone, you will be open to other alternative points of view.
Yeah.
I'm like that too. I really am, and I think it would be better if more people were like you and me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that sounds really egotistical. I don't mean it to sound that way, but I mean, I think it's very important.
Yeah,
it's very important to hear as many perspectives as possible.
Yeah,
and then make up your own mind about how you feel. 479-1080 in area 831 is the phone number I invite people to call who want to join the conversation between me and Andrew Perez, who is in the studio here at KSCO. We have about 23 minutes left, and we do have one caller on the line. That's our friend Lucas in Soledad. Lucas wants to talk about the recession. What recession?
Well, I'm thinking that the young man that you have, I think you said he was 17. I'm thinking he probably should remember this last recession that we had, 10 years ago?
Oh, was it in 2000? I thought it was in 2008. Yeah, it was, right? And that was...
Yeah, 11, 12 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, and it was... Oh,
and
go
I
ahead.
imagine you were probably only 10 years old or something like that?
I was only 6.
Oh, 6.
Yeah.
So you probably don't remember what your parents might have gone through.
I remember them telling me that the market would crash, no, the market crashed pretty hard, right? Isn't that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I remember them telling me about that.
And,
This is
and real estate values plunged.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, went underwater with their mortgages, which means that the properties were worth less than what they owed.
Yeah.
And a lot of people couldn't afford to pay their mortgages and hence lost their homes. A lot of bad stuff happened back then.
Yeah, and do you, as a young man, do you kind of remember what your parents really stressed at that point? Or did it not really affect them? Maybe because of what they did? I don't know.
My parents have always had, I guess, pretty stable jobs with what they were doing. I think my mom did struggle a little bit because she had her own business at the time.
Uh-huh.
And I remember that's when the business was closing, too. Yeah. Around that time is when the business closed, and then she went back to nursing. So
okay.
I think that could have been possibly one of the reasons why it closed. And then I just know, the business was having hard times, and then my mom just switched to nursing again. And then we were stable after that.
Okay, so it kind of sounds to me like you were actually a son of a very stable family that probably had their own home and didn't probably realize exactly what was happening to probably 65% of the country during that time, that there was 65% that just went through very bad situation and went through many years, okay? And I noticed you made a comment about, going green and things like this. But, this is one of the things that happens with young people. And believe me, I have young people. I have a son, 2 sons. Okay, they're young.
Yeah.
And one of the teachings that, that is happening in government is they're trying to convince young people who don't really have the experience of us older people. I'm 60 years old. Of, you know what? This is not about the environment. This is not about things like that. This is about our everyday life that 65% of the country are facing, that has nothing to do with going green. It has nothing to do with, saving turtles or anything like that. And I don't put that down, okay? I'm just saying that, but that's what the colleges, what I can see right now, are trying to teach young people, millenniums, and believe me, young people can make a difference, but they have to really go back about 30 years, and they have to do the research and say, where were we 30 years ago? And you'd find out, just by doing the research, that this is a lot more than going green. This is a lot more about anything else. This is about everyday living that your parents had gone through, and just like I had to go through, and even my parents that are passed away now. So I had to throw that in, guys.
No, yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So, all right. Thank you. Have a good day.
There goes Lucas in Soledad about the recession. Lines are clear, 479-1080. What kind of an opportunity are you folks allowing to go by? How many opportunities do you get to talk to a fine young person like Andrew? Anyhow, you can do that right here on the Saturday special. If you don't, that's cool, because he and I have plenty of things to talk about.
Yes, we do.
But the phone number is 831-479-1080, and the email is mz@ksco.com. One of my favorite, I don't mean to sound like a broken record, Andrew, but one of my favorite topics is free speech. Another one of my favorite topics is intolerance, and my favorite topic of all, my pet peeve is people who wear the darkest clothing they possibly can and go walking at night. So they're inviting getting run over.
Oh my gosh.
Why don't people, do people want to get run over?
Probably. That happened to my dad, actually. He didn't get hit. No. That sounds weird.
Was he wearing dark clothing?
No. He was driving the car.
He was driving, right.
He was driving the car, right? And he almost hit 3 people.
That were impossible to see, probably,
they were
right?
all black.
It's like they're camouflaged. They're intentionally camouflaging themselves in the darkness so they get hit.
They want that insurance money.
I was wondering, maybe that has something. There's got to be a reason.
They want
it can't be. It can't be. Yeah. What they want
someone to pay for their college.
But taking a chance of not being able to have college because you might be in the grave.
Yeah.
Is it worth it?
No.
I don't think so. And anyhow, that really, really bothers me, Andrew. And it doesn't seem to bother other people. When I go out at night, and I do quite a bit because I'm very diligent about walking a minimum of 5 to 7 miles every day.
Dang.
That's not all that big a deal because I know people who do twice that.
Okay, well, I don't do any of that.
Well, it's very important for me at my age and my health to do that, and that's my preferred form of exercise. Not running because it's hard on the knees and the hips and all that kind of stuff. But
I feel that.
So I find myself if I was smart, I'd get the 5 to 7 miles out of the way. It takes a couple hours every day.
Yeah.
Or night. And it doesn't have to be all at once. I could break it up. And I've got a great app on the iPhone called Pacer. There's a million of them, but that's the one that I happen to use. And it measures every step. It measures every flight of stairs. I don't know how it does that. It must be a tiny little altimeter built into the smartphone.
Well, I'm surprised that you don't have an Apple Watch.
You know why? Here's the reason. Because I don't like wearing things on my wrist. When I was a kid, something terrible happened. I used to wear my watch with a watch on my wrist, facing the clock, instead of facing out, facing in. So I'd have to look at not the back of my hand, but the front of my hand. And one day I was on a trip. I'll never forget. It was in Israel in 1971, and I was leaning back on a chaise lounge, sucking up the sun. This was in 1971, and the chaise lounge collapsed, and I smashed my watch.
Was it a Casio?
I think it was, actually.
Like the calculator one?
I think, I think it was, actually.
Classic.
It scarred me for life, like so many other things that happened to me. And I figured, you know what? If this can never happen again, I'll be a happier man. So, and it can't happen again if I don't. Imagine how horrible I'd feel if the same thing happened to me with that expensive Apple Watch.
Why would a lounge fall on you again?
No. I was leaning back on the lounge, and the lounge collapsed, and I fell on it. I smashed it. I fell like 18 inches or 12 to 18 inches.
Why don't you just flip it? So if you fall.
Okay, then good question, Andrew. Really good question. Flip it around so if I fall, it doesn't smash my, because you don't normally fall, with your hands, with your palms facing up. As I got older, I decided I didn't want to be encumbered by having something on my wrist at all, even a nice watch. what can I say? When you get older, you just become more set in your ways, in ways that make no sense. I realize I'm really missing out by not having an Apple Watch. I realize that.
You're not.
I'm not?
You're not. Because
Josh says I'm not.
You're not, because they barely even reach to, you could barely get more than a day of battery life on that. Like, I have a smartwatch, but this one's by a company called Pebble. They discontinued. They got bought out by Fitbit. But this one will last well over a week. And most of the modern-day smartwatches, they don't even last a day. So that's what seems like the biggest gimmick with those.
That lasts a whole week?
Yeah, 7 to 10 days.
Well, but so you should be raving about it, but you're not.
Oh, of course. I like this one, but I mean, it's a shame they stopped making them. But that's the one thing with smartwatches. These manufacturers got to get it together. I don't care if it can track my steps and make me coffee in the morning. I want it to actually just last more than a day.
That's my biggest problem with my smartphone. With my iPhone, the battery is horrible. And it's getting worse, but I guess that's what batteries do.
That's why I flex a Nokia.
I can't do any other phones.
Then what?
Than an iPhone. My dad even tried it. My dad tried. Oh yeah, sorry. My dad tried switching to a Samsung, and he could not do it. He lasted.
I did. So I've switched 2 or 3 times, and I had a nervous breakdown each time. So I took advantage of the return policy.
You'd have a nervous breakdown every time they made a minor app update or Android update, too.
Yeah, but I have a nervous breakdown with Apple also.
Really?
Yeah,
but the geniuses will save your bacon.
You have to have a lot of time on your hands to go to an Apple store where the geniuses are.
That's true.
And I don't have a whole lot of time.
Me either. Yeah, I've broken multiple phones.
Oh. Yeah, see, I haven't done that. I don't think I've broken a single phone. One thing I did is I lost an iPhone.
How?
For like 6 I don't know, but about 6 months later I was opening the freezer in my refrigerator to get some ice cream out of it. Some delicious Marianne's caramel fudge crunch, which is my favorite flavor.
That sounds good.
Yeah, it's cashews and fudge and caramel flavored ice cream. And there was my phone.
Was it still working?
Yes.
No.
But wait a second. I took it out and I didn't turn it on right away, but I let it warm up, for probably thaw out for half hour or something like that. And I was hoping and praying that when I pressed the button that the little apple would come on, and it did. But then it went away and nothing happened.
Do you charge it?
Yeah.
No, so it just didn't work no more.
I don't know. Why did it bother to even turn on the little apple if the thing is dead? And I went to half a dozen places, including the Apple, 2 Apple stores. I said, is there any way you can salvage this? Well, let me try. There's all kinds of things. You never know. I told them the story that it was lost for 6 months in the freezer. I must have been, leaning over to get some ice cream or something else 6 months earlier when it fell out of my shirt pocket. That's probably what happened.
Why didn't you Find My iPhone?
What?
Oh, yeah. Why didn't you Find My iPhone?
Because I didn't think about it right then, and I probably didn't even know about it, because we're talking years ago.
Oh, okay.
Not this is not recently. But, yeah, it probably would have worked if I would have thought about it right then. But you know what? I knew where it was. I knew that it was in my house. I knew that it was in my living room. I was watching TV with it minutes before. It disappeared into thin air.
You went to go get ice cream.
But I never thought, what kind of an idiot loses their iPhone in the freezer?
I don't know. That's pretty funny, though.
It is funny.
Because I've left my phone like... Oh, okay. So I had an iPod Touch, right?
Okay.
And I thought I lost it. And I lost it for 2 years. 2 years. Okay? We go to throw away a couch. Guess what falls out?
Yeah, sure. Along with some money, too, probably,
Yeah.
right?
A couple dollar bills, change. Yeah, but I found my lost iPod from 2 years ago, and it's so weird because I have a bunch of pictures on there.
Look, nobody likes to lose anything.
Yeah.
But there is a bright side. The cool thing about losing something is how good you feel when you find it, especially when a lot of time has gone by, right?
But then how bad do you feel when you realize it doesn't work?
Right. That's what happened to me. Yeah. I still have the one that doesn't work as a souvenir.
You framed it on your wall?
A tribute.
No, I don't know what I did with it, but it still does. If I charge it, it still will make the little apple come on the screen.
And nothing else turns on.
And after about 10 seconds, the apple disappears and nothing happens.
I think it's the, what's it called? Something like a LDC or something like that. It's the touch screen, and the display doesn't work anymore, probably.
It probably
but the display does work.
Froze to. Oh yeah, well the display does work if you're going to see the little Apple logo.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so I'm going to give you one more chance. It's 11:52, so we're going to be on the air for another 8 minutes here on your favorite radio station, and Andrew Perez is my guest. This can be thought of as sort of a little, relax the audience towards Andrew, relax Andrew toward the audience. Can it be that there isn't much of an audience and that's why there are very few callers?
Can you check that?
No.
There's a caller right now.
There is a caller right now, yeah. So what they usually do is they fill up the board at the end when there's like 3 minutes left,
They'll call like crazy.
Yeah, yeah, and so I don't know. So anyhow, it's being screened here. You could have teens train seniors in technology. That's what Lori just texted.
Oh, Lori wants us to.
Well, I guess she's.
How do I train them in technology?
Andrew can do a radio show that trains. See, like I said, now that we're half filled up and we only have 6 minutes left. But let's find out here. Steve in Capitola, a lost and found story. Okay, tell it, Steve in Capitola.
Hey, guys. Hey, MZ. I thought you might like this one, MZ, because you lost your iPhone in the freezer. I lost my turtle when I was a kid. I had a pet turtle in a little plastic bird bath dish thing that I kept in the kitchen, and I'd put him out in the backyard to let him get a little sun once in a while. Well, one day he escaped. My favorite turtle that I was totally in love with, like in the 3rd grade, he crawled away, and I lost him for a year. Then one day we're out pulling weeds in the rose bed right near there, and I find him, and he's in a state of, hibernation. It's my turtle, but he's just been there for a year, like hibernating. So I take him and I set him in a little bowl of water, and he comes back to life. I swear to God, he comes back to life, and he lasted about 12 hours and then expired.
Wait a minute, why are we laughing? That's a sad end of a story.
Yeah, that was a sad. But
I just thought you'd get a kick out of that.
Well, we did. I did get a laugh, even though it was a sad story. I laugh at odd things, and apparently so does Andrew. So, okay, thank you, Stephen Capitola. Appreciate your sharing that. Campbell wants to talk about wristwatches.
Wristwatch.
Hey, there we go. Campbell's the location I am, not my name. But anyway.
I was thinking that. But yeah. Josh Stevens is usually better at that than...
Yeah, well, it's close to the end there, and he wants to just get it done.
Right.
I'll tell you what happened to me. Several years ago, I was taking a real estate seminar, and the professor, whoever the guy was a little annoyed at people in the audience. It's a pretty big audience, a couple hundred people, whatever. And they kept looking, this thing where you raise your arm up in the air and look at your wrist, right? And he finally came out with it, and he says, look at my wrist. He says, you see a watch on me? He says, nothing is as annoying as people lifting up their arm to look at their wrist constantly. And it just
makes
blindsided
people
me.
think that they're bored with you, huh?
Well, yeah. And so I listened to the guy, and it made sense. He said, I never wear a wristwatch. He says, I don't like that habit, so I don't like, I don't even wear one.
If I had my way, because I hate it when people look at their watch when I'm talking to them.
Exactly.
Even if I am boring them, it's and Andrew's yawning at me right now. So even if they are, I'm going to chalk that up to you didn't get much sleep last night, right? Not that it's not that I'm boring.
No,
you to
I
death.
didn't get much sleep.
Okay, good. Because
But anyway, to make a short story long, I quit wearing a wristwatch. Oh man, I got to tell you, this was 40 years ago, and I occasionally wear one when I really have to. Like if I'm giving a speech and I know how long it's got to be, I'll wear one with a sweep second hand on it just for that time. But as far as wearing a wristwatch, I don't miss it. It gives me a chance.
I don't either.
To say, hey,
I always have the smartphone in my short pocket.
Right, there you
if
go.
I want to know what time it is or someone asks me, I just reach into my short pocket, and I don't have to worry about my wrist getting all sweaty because some band is on it.
Or you look at the ginormous clock up there.
And you don't have to worry about falling out of a chase lounge,
Exactly. Yeah, thank you
Yeah.
so much. Thank you so much, Campbell. Appreciate your call to KSCO 479-1080. Here's Dan in Pea Grove, who endorses Andrew.
Hey, hello, gentlemen.
Hi.
So,
Hello.
Michael, and is there a possibility that Andrew will be on the air on a regular basis on KSCO?
That's what we're talking about, yeah.
Well, I want to endorse that idea.
Why?
A couple reasons that make sense to me, of course. Well, the perspective he brings, and this was what this radio station is about, largely, is providing perspective. And I really enjoy. I think we need that, and I typically enjoy meeting people from all sorts of places and cultures and age groups, and I would really I like the way Andrew expresses himself, very articulate, thoughtful, and projects very well, a very calm voice. And
Thank you.
communicates very, very articulate, communicates well. So I don't, something, remember Bob Dylan got tagged with being a spokesman for a generation.
Yeah.
Well, nobody's ever been voted into that position. But
Maybe Andrew will. Who knows? You
but
can tell. When you
but
talk
Andrew-
about perspectives, we got less than a minute left, Dan, and I want to
Andrew articulates very well, so he's got my vote. I would
Got it.
like to hear more of him.
appreciate.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, good.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
I think we all want that.
Thank you, Dan.
Speaking of perspectives, we have Dr. Biles with perspectives. Is this the last perspective show, Dr. Biles? Yes. It is.
It is.
Wow. I mean, sort of sad. So anyhow, from 12 noon to 1 p.m., the final Perspectives program after 20 years exactly on KSCO. Andrew, good to talk to you. See you again soon, okay? That'll be, we'll look forward to that, absolutely.